Hey, Melissa. So let's start by casting your mind back a while ago. So, what was your relationship with food and your body like before you joined the Naturally Healthy Club?
Uh, Difficult.
Difficult.
Difficult and scary. It was very white knuckly, like I was I've known I've had tendencies to overeat since I was a child. Like I remember being on my kitchen floor as like a 3-year-old grabbing my mom's tubes of icing, and just like eating the tube of icing. And like,
That's so good out of the tube. Yeah.
well, sort of, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so like I know that like I've used food to soothe myself for a really long time. And so I've been aware of that for years now. And so before I joined NHC, I was trying really hard to not eat any sugar and to, just keep my eating in this really clean, really like square box. And um,
Right.
I was doing it. Like I was actually pretty good at it because I'm pretty like strong-willed. But it would occasionally like I would, lose it or I would like it was really hard to keep a lid on.
Right. So
Even
the box was like sometimes the box would explode.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm not and honestly not that bad. Like I went 5 years without having a drop of any sort of sugar. But it was like and I was getting support from another group for that, but it was so my grip was so tight and I would read every single thing in the, supermarket, the nutrition, and if it had a gram of sugar, I wouldn't buy it. And I like felt like I couldn't go out to eat. I felt like I couldn't, eat anything that my friends made. It was very it was neurotic.
Right. So it impacted your social life
Oh
as
yeah.
well.
Yeah. Definitely like
Yeah.
traveling, forget it.
Yeah,
So yeah.
right. And what about you mentioned that it felt scary. So tell me more about that.
Just like scary that like I couldn't keep this up forever or that I remember being I did travel to another state and I got a hotel room with a kitchen and I was like, okay, I'm gonna like go to the grocery store and get stuff and then I'm gonna make my own food. And when we got there, our room was like not available and we had to be switched to a different hotel without a kitchen. And I freaked out. Like I was like, what am I gonna do? Like how am I gonna eat? And it was not like it was so unmanageable.
Yeah, right. And so there was always that fear of like, oh, what if I can't control my situation, my circumstances, like,
Yeah,
yeah, what's going to
yeah,
happen to me? Right.
right. Because I was really good at controlling when I was in control, but like
If
I can't always be in control.
yeah,
And
if life
it
happened, yeah.
yeah. So that's why when I heard about the NHC program, I was kind of like, huh, like I wonder. So
Yeah. Okay, so what tipped you over from like, I wonder, thinking about it, to actually deciding to work with me?
well, I did your joyful cooking
Oh,
for
that's right.
what was that?
Yeah.
That was 6 months, right? I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I loved that. And I really felt like that helped me to have a new approach to food. And um, I I felt like that because that helped me and it changed my perspective on a lot of things. I was thinking, okay, I really don't think that NHE is actually going to work for me, but maybe I'll just give it a try.
Right. So you went into it thinking, oh, it's probably not going to work for me, but like, yeah, okay, interesting.
Yeah, and also like you had like your guarantee that like no worries if I need to quit, whatever. And I was like, because I'm not, like the money is not I don't spend a ton of money on stuff like this. Like it's not like this isn't like I'm not like rolling in the dough and able to, like this is not nothing to me. And
Yeah,
so
right.
but I thought to myself like this could be like maybe I'll try this and it'll if this changes my relationship with food for the rest of my life, it could be really worth it. So yeah,
Right. So it's just like that possibility was enough for you to decide that you, yeah, could give it a
yeah,
go. Okay.
yeah.
And so like what do you think the concerns were that you had that it wouldn't be able to change your relationship with food?
Oh, I was convinced that it would not be able to. Like
Okay, okay, okay.
I was
Skeptic,
like,
okay.
there's no way. Like this is sounds nice, but like it's not gonna work for me, right? And because I felt like, I was unique and like my problem, like I wasn't really trying to lose weight. Wasn't like I've been, 20, 30 pounds overweight before, but when I joined the NHC, I was like relatively healthy and that even at my highest weight, I wasn't really unhealthy. And so I was like, it's like a weight loss thing. This isn't like, this isn't what I need. And I'm just crazy in my head when it comes to food. It's not like I need to change my body. And so I thought like I don't really belong. And so and I was convinced that like there was no way that I was going to be able to eat sugar like a normal person. So
Yes,
uh,
right, right.
yeah, because I was working with people. Um, I was convinced that like I could not. I just was a sugar addict, and I could not have that in my life. So
Yeah, right. Because that had been your experience in the past around sugar. It's like you'd been like completely off it or then
yeah, right, one or the other. Yeah, right.
yeah. Okay. And so like how has the Naturally Healthy Club changed the way you like feel about your relationship with food?
Yeah. I like hesitate to talk about it because it's almost unbelievable. Because I was so completely sure that it wouldn't change it. But and let me be clear, this has not been a linear path.
Yes.
You know, I've had ups and downs, and I'm currently like on a swing of up, and I'm sure that I'll have a down at some point again, and that's okay. But one thing that's completely different is the idea of, you repeat constantly, you don't have to do this perfectly. And so when you know, I have a crazy day at work and I come home and I like have a dinner and I like don't even realize that I've just eaten too much. And then I'm like, oh man, like I thought I was doing so well. And then the thought comes up like, well, but you don't have to do this perfectly. So it's okay that you just messed up. Like because you're having like, 5 meals out of 7 are actually pretty good. And like it's like, oh, I can mess up and I
Amazing.
can still do this. That's like a completely different attitude.
Yes. Wow. So it's like being able to see the shades of gray in it.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Um, and I just realized like I didn't realize that I didn't need as much food as I was eating. That like I'm a vegan and mostly vegan. I'm kind of flexible, but I always was thought that like because I wasn't eating meat and I just needed to eat, I was focusing on eating like a ton of vegetables all the time. And like I have this, clearly as I'm talking, I can hear myself. Like I sound like I was like, I'm a healtha. Like I think it's called like orthorexia now, like so focused on being so good and so clean with my eating. And and so I was just eating like loads and loads of vegetables and grains and like not all that much protein. And my body didn't need that, but I didn't know how to tune into what my body did need. And I was just convinced like you drink like, gallons of water every day because everybody's dehydrated. So like you're gonna do better and drink gallons of water and like you're gonna eat all the vegetables. And I just like anything I do, I like if it's on my own accord, I'll take it to the extreme. So when in NHC, I realized that oh, like my body's actually happy with like a quarter of the amount of vegetables.
I
And
don't actually need to jam all these vegetables in. Yeah, right.
right, I don't actually need all this food, and it's surprising. Like I still like go to prep meals and I still go, oh, hang on a second, like that's double the amount that I probably need. And you know, if I want more, I can go back and have more. But it's like my grocery bills are going down because like, I'm just not eating as much. And I don't, I'm not feeling deprived at all. Like if I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat. But I just that's one very different thing is I've learned to like I'm still learning it, like to pick up on when my body is like, actually, I think we're good now, you know. So
Yeah, wow. So you've learned that ability, you've created that ability to tune into like what your body needs and how much your body needs.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I think for so
amazing.
long I just like survived like you know, like I let my head dictate, okay, like you should be eating this and drinking this and doing this and had very strict rules, you know. And that's but like what you taught us is that every day is different. You know, like your caloric needs will be different, you know, so it doesn't really make sense to be like, I'm gonna have 4 ounces of oatmeal and like 8 ounces of whatever. And that doesn't like every body is different, you know, like every day is different. So, you know, it's really about figuring out what I need right now.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing. Excellent. And what else have you like what else have you noticed since you've been
Um, I think like learning before NHC, I knew that I soothed myself with food. I knew that I used food. Like I would eat to the point that I was so incredibly full that I was so uncomfortable that I couldn't think about anything else. Like I used it to buffer out emotion and like the whole world, you know? Like I was so physically unwell that I just couldn't attend to other things.
right, right.
And so it's, I mean, this is certainly still a work in progress. And I've like, I mean, pre-NHC, I've done a lot of like work on learning how to feel my feelings and, you know, deal with feelings in a healthier way. But um, I just, I don't, I'm trying to put my finger on it, what it is that's allowing me now to not use food in that way. Um, I don't know what it is. I guess like when I do start eating like that, that I've listened to your voice so much and your ideas so much that it pops into my head like, do I really want this? Like, is this really satisfying right now? Like, can I have this later? You know, things like that. And you know, I don't always, sometimes I barrel right through that, you know, and say, I'm just going to keep eating. But more often than not now, I don't. And so yeah, I wish I could like say for sure why that is, but it's just been what's happening lately.
Yeah,
So
right. So you've noticed that change, and I guess we don't need to know why. Like,
yeah, like I wish I could say like I have this coping mechanism now. I mean, I do, like you're teaching us like find our own coping mechanisms that do work for us. And like for me, music has been a really good coping mechanism. But like it's not, you know, I don't think that's 100% it. So yeah, I don't know, or maybe like the thought of like my body is not a compost bin, like I don't, you know, like this isn't, do I want to feel discomfort now or do I want to feel it tomorrow? Like it's, I'm going to feel discomfort one way or the other, you know, and so a little bit of discomfort now is worth not feeling a lot of discomfort later. I don't know, all these things are
so
just
it's a
kind of,
combination of things, but that the net result is that like when you are feeling like negative emotion, you have other options rather than just eating.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Not, and I guess I'm not like automatically going to eating. That's the
Yeah,
key.
right. That's not the only path. There's other paths now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So good. So good, Melissa. And tell me about like how you feel about your relationship with sugar now.
Yeah. So weird. It's so weird. Uh, I I have sugar in my house. I have maple syrup in my fridge. I have brown sugar in a jar in my cupboard, and honey and ice cream in my freezer, and like previously, if I before those 5 years of no sugar, like I would like try to not have it. And then like once I broke that, I would say, okay, I can't do this. I'm throwing away all of the sugar. It's going down the drain or it's going in garbage right now. And I'm gonna like pour dish soap over it so I can't pull it out of the garbage later.
Yeah, right.
And like it was this very like this part of me that was like, I'm shutting it down. And I've had times within the ADHD where I have like overdone it with sugar and like far, but I haven't been like, I'm throwing out everything, it's been like, like, like we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep trying. And um yeah, I'm sure at some point I will do poorly with sugar again, but I'm not willing to give up on myself at this point, like it's so much easier too, like to say like, do I really want this when somebody like brings a treat into work, and I'm like, oh, does it like have any, I'm like, do I want this? Yes, I do, or no, I don't, I was out to dinner the other night and like we looked at a dessert menu, which I never would have done. And I looked at it and like it was all I'm lactose intolerant and it was all like dairy based. And I was just like this is all not like appealing
Not
to me.
worth it. Yeah,
But there was no like angst, there was no like, oh, like you're finally allowing yourself to have sugar and now like you can't have any of these things. Like this is terrible. There was none of that. It was just kind of like, no, I'll have something else tomorrow. Like that's I can get myself something else. This isn't my only opportunity. So
yeah,
yeah, it's a
amazing.
lot different.
That's so different. It's so different. And
Yeah.
and what about like the fear, like that scared feeling? Like
Um, it's not, it's a lot different. Um, I I feel like I can travel. I feel like I can be social. I feel like even if I go off the rails, like I can come back. Um, and I'm not scared of, messing up once and then like, I have to start over again from scratch. I it's more it's like more curious now instead of scared.
yeah,
More like,
right, right.
oh, like I just ate more than I should have. Oh, it's because like I came home from work and I wasn't thinking and like, oh, okay, like okay, that's good information. Um, so it's not this like condemnation anymore. It's a lot gentler up in my head.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. So it's like that relationship you have with yourself is different.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
great.
I still can't believe it. It's like,
I know there's some pretty big changes, Melissa. So, is there anything else that really surprised you about being part of the Naturally Healthy Club?
yeah. I think that like we all like well, first, like the social aspect of it is really helpful for me. And I, there's a lot of people who have a lot of different struggles than I do. But at the core, like we're really quite similar. And also like the different diet, the different, not diet's the wrong word, different like this person like eats a lot of meat, like I'm a vegan, like this person eats this or that, like it works for anything. And like that's also what I was astonished with joyful cooking too, is that like it works for whoever. And yeah, just hearing other people's coaching and their stories. I yeah, I did not think I would find that as helpful because again, I thought I was like the weird one who didn't
The
need to lose
special snowflake, yeah.
weight. Yeah, which I'm sure like, we all think that, lo and behold, we're not that unique, which is great. But like, so being able to hear somebody else and yeah, it's so helpful. So that was a good surprise for me. And I'd never done like group coaching before, so it's like, what am I really going to get a lot out of like hearing other people being coached? But I really do. So yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. Hey, okay, so who would you recommend the Naturally Healthy Club to, Melissa?
Anybody who feels crazy about food in their head, you know? Like I was part of a like different group before this that, you know, we would talk about how it's not that it's, you know, yes, we may need to lose weight in our bodies, but we need to lose the weight in our heads. And that's the most important thing. And like the bodies will come naturally after that. And I just anybody who like is feeling like, you know, out of control around food or like they're too in control and they're going to lose control, and that they just want an easier relationship, because that's what I wanted. I wanted more ease. And I wonder, I probably have some writings from like when I first joined NHC that I wonder if I could look back on and think like what was I'm pretty sure I wrote down like what did I want to get out of this, and I'm almost sure that, like the number one thing was just like feeling easier around like when somebody puts something on the table, I'm not all of a sudden like what do I do, you know? um yeah, and I think you've given me that, so yeah.
Oh, that's so great, Melissa. It's been so fun being your coach. Um, Yay. So is there anything else you wanted to mention before we wrap up, Melissa?
um uh I guess just there's really nothing to lose for somebody to try it, you know, like it's uh I'm astonished that I nearly didn't try it. And I mean, would I have gone through life like would I have survived? Sure, but I feel like I've been given this gift of having a different relationship with food, and so I just I guess I just wish that for other people too, because it feels really good to feel good about that. And you know, for this non-believer, uh, you know, I'm glad that I was willing to investigate, you know, and put aside my disbelief and say, okay, well, you know, maybe let's just see. And she's probably nuts and she probably doesn't have anything new to teach me, but you know, let's just find out.
Well, I definitely am nuts. We know that for
And
sure.
yeah, I guess like the like one thing too that's coming to mind also is that like it's a lot of like at first I was like struck by that it's a lot of repetition. But then I find like it's not finally like I came to the realization that like that repetition is so important and it's so good because I feel like these ideas have been just percolating into my brain for this entire time, and I didn't see the results at first, but just from having them like continuously in there and continuously changing my thought patterns, I feel like it's finally like I'm really starting to see it, um really starting to see it pay off. And but it takes a while, you know, it really it takes a while to change those ruts that have been in there forever, right? So yeah, so
Yeah.
the repetition
Oh,
is good, and like just keep keeping at it is the key, I think.
yeah. Amazing. Oh, thanks so much, Melissa. I really appreciate you coming and having a chat on the podcast. Yay.
Yeah, happy to do it.
Yay. Oh, that was so great, Melissa.